So, alrighty. Thank you for coming to our meeting. I know it's spring break, but it's very much appreciated that you guys are here. Today, we're going to go over some final adjustments with our annotated blueprints. I give you guys quite a lot of time with handling these. If you guys want the link, let me quickly drop that in the Zoom chat. There we go. Okay, so you don't have to be on the document, but we're going to basically go through it and add in any improvements or suggestions or things we need to change. So first of all, wrist 1. Looks like, did anyone else in this meeting write this?
Oh, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think we
Okay. Let's go over it. This is a base plate made out of a metal with a thickness of 0.25 inches, length 16.036. Let me just pull out my ruler. Okay. 16 inches. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit more adequate. From the base of the rectangular bottom to the top of the half circle, and with width of that. The circle has a radius of 10 inches. Okay, I'd say that makes sense. From the center to any side, okay. Distance between the center and the half of the circle to the base of the rectangle bottom is 5 inches. Cool. On the outer rim of the fan, there will be pavements on specific angles on the device that will stop wrist 2 from rotating. These momentary stops can help patients with specific wrist movements. Okay, so if you guys don't know what I wrote down there, it's kind of like a supplement to the original design. Basically, there's going to be pavements. I can't exactly show you, but there's going to be pavements like rectangular squares, like cut out of them from the edge. And that's supposed to help lock the device in at like a specific angle. Yeah, did you have any questions? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It says on the second bullet point, it says there will be a pavement on specific angles of the device that will stop wrist 2.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean like wrist 3 or something?
Yeah, that should probably be
wrist 2 is the cover, isn't it?
Yeah. And let's actually change the specific angles to pavements on since 30 degrees. Yeah, let's go 30 degrees. 30 degrees increments of the device that will stop wrist 3 from rotating. Good. These momentary stops can help patients with specific wrist movements. Okay. Is there anything else we might want to add that might describe how this piece functions or how it moves or how it works? Any mechanical descriptions? Okay.
You know, write about like...
Yeah, write it down.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys are on the document, please feel free to like make changes as we go. It's just kind of like a rough brainstorming to like kind of dwindle down on our annotated blueprints. Okay. While you're writing that, let me, oops, sorry. Alrighty, let me just write down something here. There we go. So, Junso, while you work on that bullet point, let's go over something else real quickly too. First one will be the center or the base plate. Actually, we already wrote base plate, so let's think of something else. Wrist 1 will be the foundation in which wrist 3 will rotate, covering the entire movement of wrist 3 as well as serve as the bottom plate for any gearboxes / internal work. All right, you have one shot. Yeah, that's fine, but you know, feel free to stay in the meeting just in case, like, I make any I make important announcements at the end. So it's fine if I'm recording this meeting, but it's I guess it's not that bad to like wait and see if things get a little bit better. Can everyone else hear me fine?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. Let's make this text a little bit smaller so we can fit it. Okay. So risk 2, a box with its bottom and front cut out. Okay, good. A circular top is attached to the top of the box, covering the top base for risk 3. Okay. The circular pad will have a hole of rotation, which will secure risk 3, risk 2, and risk 1 into base. Okay, cool. There will be holes placed around the side of the box with a potential lever or control mechanism that will rotate risk 3. There's going to be a control dial or a valve. Is there anyone who wants to add on to this? Okay. Let's quickly write down a little bit more of a concrete description of what it will do. This, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? This component will serve as a protective cover for the mechanical internal mechanics gold parts. Let's see. Serve as a protective cover for the mechanical parts. Okay. So one thing we do have to decide on as we make a more detailed revisions to our 3D models are what type of gearbox we're going to have. Like, are we going to have an electronic gearbox or are we going to have it manually? So let's just write that down. So these are some options. Electronic gearbox, probably a switch or maybe a dial. Mechanical gearbox, we're probably going to have to go something more like, what do they call them? Levers, yeah. Now, is this it for risk 2 or do we want to add more? Everyone all good?
Is it?
Oh, what was that, Jinso?
I think this is it.
Okay. Alrighty, risk 3. Ooh, this one's good. There's a lot of who wrote this one? Okay, I guess someone who wrote it is not in the meeting. Okay,
it's Magic Jane.
Oh,
Magic.
Okay. So this piece has both a cylindrical and prism shape to it. Okay. The cylindrical part has a diameter of 6 inches. Good. That's what I specified. Radius of 3 inches. Okay, good. And height of 2 inches. Perfect. For the rectangular part, it has a width of 4 inches, right? And a length of about 7 inches. Cool. And the height of the rectangular part is 2.5 inches. So I hope you guys know why this one's 2 inches and this is why 2.5 inches. It's because there's like a little pavement on the top that kind of separates the bottom part from the top part. This part also has cylindrical holes placed 1.5 inches away from the very end of the width. Let's try to word that a little bit better. There we go. The hole has a diameter of 0.3 inches. Good. And the holes are indented 0.5 inches deep. Perfect. Now, risk 4. This was probably written by Michael. This part will restrict our movement. Oh, before I move on, are we clear for risk 3? Anything else to add on? Okay, cool. Now, risk 4. This part will restrict our movement, making sure that the patient's arm is secure. Got it. The component will be adjustable with the holes drilled to the sides for adjustable screws. Perfect. The plating facing inward will be curved, making the restraint more ergonomic. Perfect. There will be some cushioning on the inside of the plating to provide more stability and comfort to the user. Good. As you guys can see, the models aren't exactly updated. I'm going to update them soon when everyone has their models in. Okay. The panels will be about 1.5 inches wide. Okay, let's see. 1.5 inches. Yeah, I guess that's a fair estimate. 1.5 inches wide, be 3.25 inches tall, which is around, okay, that works. That works. And have a curve starting 0.1 inches from the base and cutting 0.25 inches into the width of the plate. So 0.25, it's around like that much. Yeah, that works. Is there anything else to add for wrist 4? Okay. Let's write down one more important thing because here. This plate will be, no, the holes drilled into the plates will match the holes drilled on top of wrist 2. We probably have to add that to wrist 2. Yeah. This will allow the patient to adjust their arm, or adjust the wrist 4 part by screwing it in at different levels. Okay, so do you guys know what I mean by that? Having multiple screws so I could clamp down at different levels. So if you guys, here, let me turn, yeah. So if you guys see like a ruler, I have one right now. You know how there's holes inside it? Let me see if I can try to get it to focus. You see how there's holes in here? If we drill multiple holes, here, that's a pretty bad picture, but if we drill holes at different levels, we can kind of clamp it down at one place, but we can also clamp it down at like this level. And then we can take it off, screw it back in, and clamp it on at that level. But then we can also clamp it down at really short levels. Everyone kind of understand that concept of what we're doing? Okay. Right. So Junso, write that part. So I think we're good on wrist 4. Now F1. So Jake, with the 3D model, is there any way you could attach the like a rod indicate like underneath F1?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the updated 3D model, but the model I sent you, it has like a hole in the bottom that aligns with F2 that an axle can fit through.
Okay, got it. Then we probably just have to attach the axle anywhere. But okay, got it. This is a critical piece of the design that will allow the fingers to open and close with ease. This piece will also work closely with other pieces such as F2. The hole at the bottom connects with F2 and also adds stability. Okay, that's good, but let's try to write a little bit more like kind of like showing off our design. So let's write this. The curvature allows for ergonomic gripping, allowing the patient to move their fingers without having to hold uncomfortable or blunt objects. Now, one key point is that the curvature on the top is smaller or narrower. That's what I'm trying to say. Narrower than the curvature on the bottom. This helps patients open their hand with the pointy part, with the pointy top acting as a, what do they call it? Wedge to open the fingers. Cool. One other thing we might want to add here. Who is in the, okay. Is there anything you guys want to add for F1 before I add another key point to it? Any like suggestions, like maybe we should have pads in it. Maybe we should, you know, attach the axle at the bottom.
Yeah, I'll write something mentioning where the axle goes.
Okay, so if you're gonna write where the axle goes, let me make a new, just write it over here. It's just like a duplicate. I'm gonna write under here that there will be, and let's just call it silicone pads / Velcro buckles to ensure that the patient's hand will not slip after gripping F1. This could be, yeah, no, I think that's good enough. Because one of the things our doctor recommended was having actual silicone pads or buckles so that the patient's hand doesn't slip out, because there is a possibility that when a patient slips his or her hand in, you know, their arm or their hand specifically may slip out. Wrist force is supposed to account for that because it's supposed to grip it tightly so that you can't really slip out. But even in the case it does, you know, there's still like a silicone padding or a restraint device actually planted on F1 so that it doesn't slip your fingers entirely, because that could be a little bit risky or something you want to avoid with this specific medical device. Is there anything else you guys want to add to F1? Okay. F2. This piece is meant to be wrist protection. Let's write it a little bit nicely just so that, you know, it's a little bit more professional and, you know, it's a little bit more tidied up. This piece is meant to serve as a wrist protection guard, making sure that the hand will not fall out of F1. And in like a point after that, let's just kind of get into a little bit of detail, because when we just say it's a wrist protection guard, they might be like, what the heck's a wrist protection guard? So let's quickly write that patients using this, patients gripping onto F1 may slip without F2. The patient's hand will fall through the crevice between F3 and wrist 3, meaning that if we don't have this thing as a, you know, a balanced ground, it's gonna fall through the crack. I can't exactly show you a model. Actually, let me try to do that real quick. While Jinso and Jake is working on those, let me actually pull up a assembly just so that I can show it to you guys a little bit more clear, so that, you know, people who are also watching this recording can easily just know what's going on. CAD files, wrist assembly, okay. Oh, and please download AutoCAD if you haven't yet. It's pretty important. You know, just saying it out there. I'm pretty sure 90% of you guys already have it. Okay. Let's see. Yep, that should be booting up. It's fine if you guys are like hopping out of the meeting, hopping into the meeting. If the connection's bad, don't worry too much about it. I was actually planning this to be a leadership only meeting where only the group leaders come. But then, you know, I just wanted to let you guys in so that, you know, you guys can have a little bit more of a comprehensive understanding of how our device works. So don't worry, I'm going to post a recording. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to post a recording after, but again, this is just kind of like a review phase, basically. Okay, let's try to see what files. Okay. Give me 1 second. Autodesk is, and it's always slow. Okay. So I don't know why, but usually it's really slow for my laptop when I actually use my Autodesk at the same time. So let me actually show you a quick picture so that you guys can understand a little bit better. So can you guys see this structure over here?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just annotate through Zoom quickly what I mean. So wrist 2 or fingers 2 is gonna be like a plate over here. Like that. It's supposed to be a plate that protects it. If it doesn't, and let's just say there's our grip and there's our protection. Here, let me let me quickly draw it in red so you guys can see it a little bit better. So let's just say there's our fingers 1, the grip, and just quickly there's our hand guard, that's F3. You see how there's a space over here that the fingers may slip through? Do you guys see that part? That's basically what we're trying to prevent, because if we have something over here that catches the hand from falling, the hand doesn't have to fall this way. And we could have something over here, and then of course we could have a guard that goes down like that. So that's basically like the gist of it. If this wasn't here, this part, the fingers or the hand might fall down that way. And that's what we're trying to provide. That's what I actually mean by wrist guard or hand guard protection, so that there's something actually like grabbing onto the hand that prevents it from just falling off. So I hope that clarification helped you guys a little bit with the understanding. Let's see. Yeah. So perfect. Let's add in just one more thing. And I'm just talking about the outer ridge. The outer ridge of F2 will ensure that it will keep a uniform shape with F3, meaning that there is no space remaining or blunt points, blunt obtrusions. This is what I'm trying to say over here is we don't want excess material poking out. So let me just quickly annotate over here in the surface. If this is how our F2 looks in the picture, that means that our guard, which is F3, is going to have a base that looks like this, kind of like oval shape, so that it can fit nicely right here. If the guard shape was rectangular, you also want F2 to be rectangular so that it matches. That's what I'm just trying to say. Okay. There we go. Okay. Oh, and before we move on, anyone else want to add to F2? Okay. And F3. This place is to secure the hand that is gripping onto F1. Let's just kind of separate it so that, we can kind of avoid paragraph-long descriptions. It also allows for the hand to move in both directions without slipping off or letting go, because this guard makes the hand remain on F1. Perfect. It allows to stay in the hand position as the hand is contracted and or expanded. To prevent the hand from slipping off, there will be grip pads or silicone paddings that will remove extra space. This can be custom made for each patient, because remember, everyone has a different finger size, so it kind of depends on how big are your fingers. But that also means that there could be universal restraint, such as Velcro or padding. It's just kind of a little clarification, because when we talk to our mentors to actually build this device after you're modeling it a couple of times, we kind of have to tell them what materials we're going to need so that they don't actually have to go out and buy it while making it. Because a lot of these production companies, they'll kind of want us to know the materials beforehand. So we kind of have to choose, do we want Velcro or do we want padding? Of course, this is something where these are very like minute details, so we're going to decide them later. But this is something we want to have in mind so that when we talk to our mentor or doctor, they could recommend us like, oh, we're thinking of doing rubber paddings or Velcro paddings or silicone paddings. One of the doctors might be like, actually, some qualities of rubber may elicit response with the patient's skin. Don't use that. We could go, oh, okay, so we're not going to use them. We're probably going to do silicone padding or something else. One more thing, quickly, just because this is a pretty intricate part. There will be a, what do we call this thing? A pin for F3 to securely fit into F1. And just a little bit comments, this pin will not rotate, but it will make sure that F3 does not spin. This pin will be 0.5 inches in diameter with 1 inch extrusion. Okay. 0.5 inches, that's, ooh, that may be a little bit too long. Let's make it 0.25 inches diameter. Actually, 0.25 might be a little bit too small. Yeah, I guess 0.5 is okay. Okay, with 1 inch extrusion. So let me just annotate really quickly. I'm basically talking about this part over here. That's actually supposed to be like a little like pin that comes out like that, so that there could be an actual plating that comes down like that. So, you know, just little minute details so that if the pictures we have is not sufficient, they could always, you know, figure out that there is something there. Because here's the thing. A lot of what we're writing, it probably isn't enough to help our mentors help us with the actual manufacturing process. It's not enough, because it's never enough. It's like when you make things without a specific blueprint, information can never be enough. But the whole process of doing this is so that if we write something down, our mentors are not going to miss it. So like, for example, this little pin over here, our mentors might overlook it, or the people who help us build it might overlook it, or we might overlook it too. But because we wrote down that there is a pin, our mentors, while we're building this, they might be like, hey, Jake, what's this pin supposed to be? Where is it? Like, what is it supposed to do? Then Jake can quickly just kind of let them know, like, hey, this is a pin that's supposed to secure into F1.
I see.
Yeah. So I understand if you guys kind of think like, oh, wait, I don't think these descriptions are like mechanical enough to actually help someone build this, because at the end of it, it's not really meant to do that. It's kind of meant to serve as like a guidance more than precise directions. So I hope you guys can see that a little bit. Before I turn this into to our mentor, I'm gonna give you guys like maybe one more day to edit things in. But if you guys don't know, one of our mentors, it's like a small robotics company called Leaders Rehab Robot, and they're mostly going to be overseeing this sort of the construction phase. Now, I know a lot of you guys, and I'm just gonna say it straight up. I know a lot of you guys looking at mentors was very hard, and that was very hard for me to do also. Like finding actual mentors in this time of chaos, it was a very hard thing to do, and I really didn't want to take that extra step and be like, hey, can you come to our Zoom meeting? Because, you know, at the end of the day, they're doctors and they're like active duty doctors, so it's really something hard to ask them to come in. But if we have all this blueprint nicely done and finished by maybe this week, I could probably ask our construction mentor, the mentor who's going to be helping us overlook the actual building of this, maybe drop by our next meeting. I know this is kind of a big announcement for a small group of people, but I'm going to make that announcement in the Discord anyways. Like, hey, I know we haven't really seen our mentors that much, but this could be an opportunity. So what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to like hype it up or something. That's not really what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is there's going to be certain things we present to our mentor to kind of like let him know, hey, these are some things we did. We don't really want to let them down, do we? So just, kind of things like that, You know how like when a school takes photos, the class is in disarray, but when the yearbook photo comes in, everyone's acting like they're actually studying. It's not exactly like that, but let's make this a little bit more presentable than the kind of rough work we do, just make it a little bit more presentable. I'm going to update the photos. I'm going to add in specific measurements. This is kind of like what we're looking at, but of course, I'm actually going to change this part into a part you guys made so that this very basic part is, not used. So I can show our mentors a little bit more professionally done piece that you guys made because, I kind of just made these as like a insert, not like really meant to submit it to anyone. It's just kind of like there, like placeholders. So don't worry, I'm gonna update these pictures with measurements in them. What you guys want to do is kind of refine this. Like I'm gonna like work on this even after the meeting, but if you guys want to add in something, kind of want to show our mentor like, hey, we're actually like, we're really like passionate about like our project and we know like our part, because what we want to show our mentor is not exactly like we're good students or we're productive workers. That's kind of arbitrary to tell, but what we want to show them is, hey, we know our parts. Like I made this part, I 3D modeled it, and I know everything about it. That's what you want to show. And that's what I want you guys to show as well. 1 or 2 sentences are fine, but I just set that as like a bare minimum. Now that there's a possibility that we might have to present this to like a mentor or an organization or just as like a model of what we've been doing, let's make it a little bit more presentable and kind of like show that professionalism. Because like at the end of the day, you guys 3D modeled your parts. You saw like my tutorial video on like the most basic canvas, but you guys actually modeled it yourself. So let's kind of show that, we know our stuff type of attitude on, by putting some descriptions and, specifications, measurements, little things like that. So that's pretty much it to our meeting today. I just wanted to go over this blueprint just so that I can let you guys know how important it is. Kind of go over it so that everyone knows what each part is doing. Before I kind of give off like the final announcements, is everyone good with the annotated blueprint? Is everyone good with what they need to do? Okay. Oh, any last questions?
No, I think we're good. I was gonna
Okay.
say, yeah.
So just like a TLDR to this meeting, make this blueprint really nice looking and make this blueprint a little bit more descriptive. Add in a lot of sentences into it.